Uh-oh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of questions of the chair. I've noticed up to the discussion so far, it's been rather loose and rather free-flowing and rather broad. And my question to the chair is, am I going to be allowed that same latitude as I asked my question?
Yes, sir.
And because the reason I asked that question, Mr. Chair, is because I'm afraid that in just a few minutes, somebody in this body is going to make that hated motion that I hate, I move immediate consideration. And when that happens, there will be no more discussion. We'll immediately vote.
Well, I'll assure you, I'll let all questions be asked before I take that motion.
And I'm free to have a little bit of latitude as I ask my quote question now.
And with this being put on at a late hour, we're going to have plenty of discussion. I'm not going to limit you to 2 questions, 3 questions, just question away.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me just begin is that I do not believe the bankers in Arkansas or America ought to run this state or this legislation to determine this money. And the reason I say that, I know some bankers, including the Waltons, but the one I'm thinking about today is a guy named Whit Stevens, with whom I had lunch several days. And ladies and gentlemen, the Whit Stevens I knew who sent me $500 after I lost that governor's race because I didn't come back and ask him for money and said he helped Bill Clinton. He was probably a better guy than I was. But anyway, I don't think Whit Stevens would make the statement that's been said here is that if you don't do this so I can predict what you're going to do with that money, we're going to give you a certain bond rating. And frankly, members, I am fed up of Washington and Little Rock, of K Street, and the donors making the laws. And that's why I'm against this deal, the way we're doing it, and all this argument's going on. Now let me be specific of why I'm against it, because the reason it's said you can predict this is because of this. We just said we haven't had time to see this. Let me run through, Mr. Chairman, again with your latitude you give me, what's happened since we came down here yesterday. It's been said already this morning that we should have had more time to see this. First of all, we didn't even send this amendment till it was on our desk this morning. I looked it up when I saw that's what we were meeting about this morning, but I couldn't find it because it wasn't on the internet or anywhere else that I could find. Maybe I don't have the technology. But when we came down here, we didn't have enough time. So I found out in my years down here off and on, and I was told by a good advisor down here in the Senate when they were doing the federal finger a few years ago, on the congressional deal, I said, how can I slow this down? He said, well, just object to the second reading of that bill, which I did, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why there is no federal finger, because it gave us that next night when I objected to the second reading of that bill. It gave us that overnight for the people of Arkansas to find out what we're doing down here in this rushed special session that's rushed because we've waived all rules, we've suspended all rules, and we did this the other day at the express command of the person who served on that rules committee, the one who sponsors the bill. So what I decided, well, yesterday, when that bill is read the second time, I would object to the second reading. And my colleagues in the House were there, you saw that. When that came to House Bill 1005, I stood to the floor before that bill was ever read the second time and asked to be recognized. But the Speaker, who is a sponsor of that bill, chose not to recognize me until after he said, read the bill the second time. Then my question was asked, what was your question? I said, my question was about the second reading. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's wrong. I think that's morally wrong, and I think we ought not do it, whether it's Kim doing it or anybody else doing it. And that bothers me, and we ought to fix that stuff, ladies and gentlemen, in this legislature. So then what happened? Yesterday, I have been a member of a committee this session. When they called a meeting at 7 or 8 o'clock, one of the two or three of us were standing outside the door before that meeting ever, we were about 2 minutes late. I'll agree with that, 2 or 3 minutes late. But they were already coming out of the committee meeting, and there were 7 of them in that committee, and it takes 11 to pass the bill, but they've done passed it because nobody objected. And you know what? That just bothers me a whole lot about this. And this stuff of now we can't do 2/3 of the body because some banker, and I sound a little bit irritated about that, but I am irritated. Some banker decides he's not going to give us a rating if we don't let the Legislative Council or the budget do it. And one final thing as I air about this deal, and thank you again, Mr. Chairman, and my colleagues for putting up with this stuff, but let me tell you, the people of Arkansas need to know that, and here is one big mouth that's going to let them know before the next election.